Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right. Thank you for listening and see you soon.
What's up, everybody? John Henry, both sides of the conversation. Today is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another Sunday conversation. Today is going to be a great conversation because we have our youth here today. And the youth are talking about today's topic. Have the youth been exposed to sex too soon? This is a great conversation for community, adults, parents in the community, our young people with the access to social media, the things that we see in movies, the things that we see in the news. Is it too much exposure? Is it too much in our homes? I don't know. We're going to hear from the youth and from some of the community folks that are out there. So we are excited about today's conversation and looking forward to community being involved. Please, if you watch it for the first time, go to our YouTube channel. Click the live chat function. You can ask questions. You can make comments, anything in there. If you're on our Facebook, go to our Facebook page, our group. You can also leave live comments and chats in there as well. So we're looking forward to today's conversation. Should be a great one. Another one we have as we get closer to the through this month of Black History, more and more conversations, things that we're going to be putting together to help impact community. One of the things I wanted to talk about before I pass it over to our youth, community. There's a call to action that needs to happen, okay? All of our community folks are going to have to step up, all right? The resistance of Black folks, not only in San Francisco, but across this country is going to have to start getting engaged. There's a fight going on, okay? There's a lot of folks who are against the empowerment of Black folks, who are about the Black folks in our community. And we're just going to continue to fight together in solidarity, okay? There's some things happening that we need folks to show up and move this Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors meeting. There's going to be a great conversation about reparations and a number of other things that impact Black community. So make sure you Do your part and get out there. All the folks that are sponsoring the Dream Keeper, grantees of the Dream Keeper. If the Dream Keeper has impacted you, you should be at this meeting because there's some people out there in the community that don't want to see the Dream Keeper funding happen, don't want to see Black folks in San Francisco getting the opportunity to engage and to uplift each other. So again, there's a fight that's going on. Again, anytime Black folks start to organize, mobilize, and do things to help impact each other, there's some people with a louder voice that's trying to shut it down. They don't want to see Black excellence, and they don't want to see Black folks thriving. So again, we got some work we got to do. We got to stick together. We're going to have to stick as a unit, as they say. We got to put our body armor on, get ready to go to war. But I know one thing about my Black people, okay? We don't walk away from fights, but the fight has begun. There's a number of folk that are coming after the work that is happening in our city. So again, Black folks, community, where you at? We got to step up together, step to the fight, get involved because it is a time of action that is in need in this city. So a lot more to come about it. But this Sunday, this Tuesday supervisors meeting at City Hall, room 250 at 2 p.m. The reparation committee conversation will be happening at 12 p.m. So we need all our people in the city. Don't just sit there and listen on the news and hear about how Black folks is going to get $5 million from reparations. Get out and be a part of it. Show up and let these folks know that we're not playing. This is not something that we're begging for, okay? Remember, community, this is owed to us. This is the harm that's been caused to our community, our people, for hundreds and hundreds of years, and this is what's owed to us, all right? So we got to go take our equity. I keep telling y'all, we can't sit back and wait for folks to come to us about what we need. It's about taking our equity, and the only way we can take equity is we have to be in unison together, walking in solidarity together. We will do it. We'll continue to push, and hopefully we'll see everybody out this Tuesday. Also, this Thursday coming up is the Dreaming Forward event to talk more about Black excellence, how we mobilize, how do we organize in our community. Make sure you get out. This is an all-day event at the Commonwealth Club. We'll get the information out to the community, but please make sure you get out and support what's going on. Also, want to give a huge shout out to Keith Cares and UT and all the amazing folks that came out this weekend, even in the rain, blessing the people, impacting the people with their second annual Give Back Day. Great event. A number of folks out there in the community making things happen. So shout out to all of the amazing sponsors and all of the Dream Keeper folks who are a part of it to make sure that these type of events, the impact in our community, continues to happen. So we are excited about that. And we just going to continue to support and uplift organizations that are doing work and continue to impact the things that's going on with our community. Also, lastly, I don't know if you all heard over the weekend, the news broke in New Jersey. One of the New Jersey councilmen, a young lady, 30 years old, who was making some political trailblazer moves in our public arena, was shot and killed in her car violently. Again, the conversation that needs to be happening as more and more details come. We will update community. But again, community, where are we at when we talk about the political violence going on? All right, there's a number of folks in the right wing that are pushing this violent agenda against young, Black, inspired folks who are trying to get into public office. This is a real conversation. You see the threats, you see what's going on. And again, what are we going to do, community? How do we protect our Black women? How do we protect our Black elected officials? How do we protect our Black organizers and leaders of the community that are trying to bring our people together, whether you like or don't like the policies that they drive? How do we keep them protected, and how do we continue to uplift their voices so that the work that is needed in our community happens? And again, it's going to take time. It's a movement that got to keep happening, but we have to keep talking about it because this violence in the political arena is becoming more and more apparent and very, very aggressive. All right. And we don't need our young folks who are jumping into the public sector that want to do the civil duty, afraid to do their justice and to do their work for community in the fear of violence. So a number of conversations that's going to have to happen. We'll continue to update community, what's going on with that. And again, just more work that we have to do. We got to be more focused on what's going on, community, a lot of work. And then happy Lunar New Year to all of the amazing folks who went out yesterday in the rain, celebrating Lunar New Year. And we just want to uplift that as well and let all of our community folks know, hey, in solidarity, it's about lifting people up. And shout out to all of the amazing folks that put those events together to make it happen. So with that being said, we're going to bring up Devin. He's going to get into our world news announcements, and then we'll jump into our events, and we'll get into today's topic. But Khalees, before I pass it over to Devin, Holla at the people. What's going on? You here another Sunday?
Yes, yes. Happy Black History Month. Excited to be here and watch the youth go forth with this conversation. But yes, we do have to stand together and be strong. Keep your head on a swivel, right? There's a lot out there. So make sure, stand your ground and be firm in it.
What's going on, community? Like Khalid said, happy Black History Month. Let's get into the world announcements. So to begin, when Kayleen Perez became the first Latina to be crowned Miss Coppin State University, it was the second most exciting moment of her life, she said, after joining the military. But as news spread of her accomplishment at the historically black public university, she faced cyberbullying, much of it focused on her Latina heritage. Perez believed the harassment stems from the belief among some that HBCUs are solely for black people. Perez said that some of her online critics also believe she is white, which apparently also angered her. In addition, like next Sunday, we have the Super Bowl. It's going away from its mid-February time slot since the NFL expanded the regular season from 16 to 17 games. If you thought Super Bowl had a late start, February 13th was the latest Super Bowl ever played. There's good news on the horizon. The AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs and NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles will meet in Super Bowl. What is this, 50-51? And it will be played it will be played a day earlier in 2023, taking place on February 12th, still on the second Sunday of February. American military officials on Thursday said they had detected a high-altitude surveillance balloon launched by China. It was floating in the skies of Montana, causing a diplomatic panic that led Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken to postpone a planned trip to Beijing. The U.S. fighter jets shot down the suspected Chinese spy balloon that had drifted across the United States for several days on Saturday, bringing an end to the opening chapter of a tense public standoff with Beijing over the intrusion into U.S. airspace. So, with those world events, I'm going to pass it over to John and Nia, and they're going to tell you what's going on in our community.
Wow, man. Great stuff. Thank you, Devin, for getting that out. Also, community, we're going to jump into our community events. There are a number of events going on for this Black History Month. Hopefully, all of the people in the community will get an opportunity, okay, to get out there, check out some of the stuff that is going on. But we'll get to the community announcements, and we'll start with the first one. The Historic Day for Californians with Old Conviction Records. Time Done is a program for Alliance Safety and Justice. If that is you, if you've been incarcerated, you've been arrested, check out Time Done. They got some phenomenal stuff to help folks get back into community, get jobs, and there's a number of resources and information that they have. Also, come celebrate Historic Month, this Historic Black History Month with the MOHAD. They have a sensational series that you don't want to miss all throughout the month of February. Please go onto their website and check out some of the programs. They're going to have artifacts, things about Black history. This art museum is definitely one of the art museums you have to check out if you ever come to San Francisco. They have some amazing stuff going on. So please check out the links right there on the screen and find out what you could do to be a part of some of their program. Also, the AARP Foundation, get your taxes done for free. They're having something from February 1st to 15th, in-person tax day. They got 3 San Francisco locations. You want to make an appointment, you got to go to the information that's up on the screen. Again, tax season is here. Folks, get out there, make sure that you get your taxes done. Very important. Don't want to catch those late penalties, and you don't want to be penalized for not getting your taxes done. So please put that in the forefront of stuff. Also, SFAARC is developing strategies to compensate Black people for generations from trauma. Check out their Zoom link that they have going on. This should be a great conversation about what's going on when we talk about change and how do we pay for some of the things that are happening and how do we impact folks in our community. Please go to the website, join the Zoom, find out what's going on, stay connected, community. That's what it's all about, putting these resources and information so that community can connect and know what's going on. Also, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors hearing on draft reparation plans is taking place February 7th. That is this Tuesday coming up at 2 p.m. at City Hall. 250 Black folks. I need y'all to show up, okay? If you are near San Francisco, you in the city, all right? Get over there and fill the chambers up with Black voices. This is for our reparations. Let these people know we are not playing. We are here, and we want to make sure that the justice have been served for the harm that's been caused for residents in San Francisco. I need my people to show up, okay? Because I'm calling you out. If I don't see you down, I'm going to say, hey, how are you for the people? All right, let's go on out there. Let's show up and let's let it be heard. Our voices, the information, you could join virtually as well. And there's also going to be the hearing on the SF Gov TV as well. Also, join us for an art gallery walk. The District 10 Black History Month reception is happening February the 8th, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Supervisor Shamal office in room 282. Please make sure you attend this event. Great information. We have already been sharing out the flyers to folks in the community. Also, the inauguration of the San Francisco Public Defender, Mr. Miles Reju, is happening February the 8th, 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the New Southeast Community Center at 1550 Evans Street. Please reserve if you would like to come. This is a great event. Come meet the new public defender. We know things are still happening in our community that he's trying to work out and be a part of. So make sure you do your part. Get out there, meet the new DA, talk to him about things you need. Maybe you have young people in your family that's dealt with incarceration or past convictions and trying to get their records clean. Reach out, go talk to them. They're doing some phenomenal work to help folks get back in the community. So you want to make sure you be at that event so you can meet some of the people that's in the public defender's office that's helping support community. Also, save the date for the Dreaming Forward celebration. Black Joy, Power, and Excellence is happening February the 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Go to the Dreamkeeper website. Please register. This is a registered event, but it's for everybody in our community. Go learn what's going on, how to get connected, some of the resources that are coming to impact our community. It will be at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco. So please be there, community. Show up this Thursday, February the 9th. Also, the Office of Small Business and Disaster Relief, they have grants coming out. There's an application deadline of Friday, February the 10th, 5 p.m. If you have been affected by the previous storms with flood or any kind of damages to your space or to your building, please go to this application, fill out. They have some grant relief money for community folks. Also, our Both Sides of the Conversation essay contest is happening for our elementary, middle school, and high school students. The submissions must be received by February the 11th. That is next Saturday, okay, for all of the families. I've been getting emails. All the information is on the flyer. Get your young people to write their essay, send it in, 500 words or more. Send it into the contest email that's on the screen and also on the flyer, okay? I don't need y'all calling me. I got 100 people calling me. How do I get my kid submission? Y'all got to read. How can I give your kid $500 and y'all not even reading the flyer, okay? But again, if you have young people in the elementary school age, middle school age, and high school age, each essay contest will win $500 and an award, but you have to be present at our bowling event to receive it if you are the lucky winner. But again, Saturday is the deadline. Families, if you don't get them in, don't be mad. We taking all of the ones who came in. After February 11th, there will be no more opportunities for you to submit for those essays. So my high school students, come on, y'all, get y'all application. I seen a few. I need some more for my high school students. All right, all my middle school students, let's go. Get your essays in there, and you can get an opportunity to win this $500. All right. Also, the AMI by Kyrie Allen, this free dance class is happening February 12th. The doors is opening at 10 a.m. Class community gathering and lunch will be happening at the Booker T. Washington Center, 800 Presidio Avenue. Please go check out what's going on. Shout out to Shakira and all of the amazing folks at Booker T. Washington that continue to keep bringing programming into that center for our community. And I'm just excited to see that they're continuing to make things happen for the young people. Also, the Drumbeat Heartbeat Community as One is happening. That is on the February the 15th. It's going to be at the San Francisco Public Library at the Correct Auditorium, 100 Larkin Street. That is Wednesday, February the 15th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please, this is a registered event. Our mayor is going to be there, a number of our elected officials. This is a great event for community to come together as one. If you have an opportunity, come out and check out what's going on as we continue to try to build solidarity in this city and across the Bay Area. Also, our DKI update meetings is happening February 16th, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you would like to know more about what's going on with the Dreamkeeper, who are the grantees, all of the updated stuff, please check out the Dreamkeeper meeting on February the 16th. Also, the 43rd annual Archica musical contest is happening. The application deadline is February the 17th. The contest date is February the 23rd at 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is hosted by our San Francisco Black Alliance of School Educators. If you are into music and you have some young people, please sign up, be a part of it, check out what they're doing. This is a great opportunity for young folks and folks in the community that are doing some musical stuff and would like to be a part of this contest. Also, the African American Historical Cultural Society Black History Month celebration is taking place February the 18th. There's going to be a resource fair and things is happening at San Francisco City Hall from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, the email address and website is there below. Please make sure you join that event. Also, our Both Sides of the Conversation second annual bowling event is happening February the 18th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at SIBO. If you haven't registered community, it's a free family event. All you got to do is register. The numbers is moving up faster and faster. Please make sure you register if you would like to come be a part of this event as we get in close to closing off the people that we can have in capacity. So again, if you want to come, make sure you get your registration in. It's going to be at the SIBO at 4625 Coast Highway in Pacifica. We are still looking for sponsors. If you want to come in last minute, say, hey, I want to be a part of this, you can definitely reach out and sponsor us as well. But community, get your registration in. I see we got a lot of people coming and showing up. So thank you all for coming to support this event. I know there's a lot of events going on that weekend, but we just happy that our community is showing up to support the both sides of the conversation, vision, and mission. And we love all of you. And we're going to have an amazing, amazing time at the bowl event. Also, the in-person legal, they're having a cafe for small business owners on February 22nd. They're going to be talking from 12 p.m. to 1:45. It's an opportunity for you to come out if you have questions about your business. They're going to have some legal folks there to help support at 940 International Boulevard. This is a great event, and we'll make sure that we get the flyers out to community. Again, to build Black businesses, you got to be in the realm of all your policies. So it's great to have the legal folks coming out to talk to folks who are trying to start up their businesses. Awful. Traveling Worlds, Our Lives in the Absence of Justice Reparation Panel and Art Exhibit Fashion Show is happening February the 24th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Bayview Opera House. Please, if you're in the community, go check out this event. Should be a great event. A lot of information at this art exhibit. See some of the local artists. See some of the folks who are doing the work and keeping the historic legacy of what's going on in the Black community forward. So we're excited. We'll be out there to check out that event as well. Also, the second annual District 10 Visitation Valley Black History Month and Lunar New Year celebration is happening February the 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Children Playground at 170 Teddy Street. For all of the folks that want to be a part of that, please come out and support that event. Shout out to my guys over there and over in Visitation that just continue to move forward on the southeast sector of the city, trying to make things happen. So I think it'll be a great, great event. And make sure community, y'all get out there and support these events. A lot of great resources and things for the community. Our next event, the first Unitarian University Society of San Francisco Scholarship Program, is for the 23-24 year, ranging from 15 to 2,500. They are looking for folks who would like to be a part of that. If you would like to get in on those scholarships, please look at the information on the screen before our young folks going to college and folks in the family that have folks coming back from college. Make sure they reach out and check out the scholarship and see if you could be a part of that. The ongoing events that continue to happen our monkeypox vaccination and flu vaccination site is happening every Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at 701 Alabama Street. If that is you and you need those services, please go up there and get those free vaccination sites. Also, the Peace Parks is still presenting their Friday night fun every Friday night, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hamilton Rec Center in San Francisco at 1600 Gary Boulevard. If you have young people, get them out there. This is a violence prevention event. They're giving out barbershops. They got some barbers in there cutting hair, girls doing hair. Got a number of things for the young people to keep them busy. They're doing movies and cars and games and things of that nature, trying to keep our young folks off the street and giving them a positive space to just enjoy each other and have fun. If that is you, you have young folks out there, get them over to the Hamilton Rec Center every Friday night as they are continuing their Friday night fun. So shout out to all of the Peace Park folks and all the folks from our Park and Rec who are trying to keep programming for our young people. Also, the Lovely Ladies University open enrollment is happening for young folks ages 10 through 17, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 1275 Fairfax Ave in San Francisco. Membership inquiries, please look at the website and information up above. If you inquired and want to be a part of that, please submit to there. Also, the Saturday Family Fun Days are still happening field trips and sporting events for our young people and families every second and fourth Saturdays with the SF Rebels. Shout out to my guy Nate for continuing to make sure that our young people and families are impacted during these times of need. A great shout out to them and just amazing work they continue to do to help impact community. Also, our both sides of the conversation capacity building fundraiser is still going on through the month of February. Please support us and check out some of the work that we're doing. Again, we're trying to build up the infrastructure for our organization so that we can help continue to impact our community, our youth, our elders, and the folks who need support in this community. Y'all know how we do it at both sides of the conversation. We show up for the people. All right. So we want to make sure that the people get the blessings. And when you bless us, we bless them. So thank you all for who've been supporting and continue to support us. Also, we have some job announcements that's going on. The San Francisco Children's Council is still recruiting for a community outreach manager. That salary is from $75,000 to $85,000 a year. If that is you, maybe you think you want to lead an organization and connecting them with the community. They have a resource manager. That's a pretty good salary for somebody who's doing that work. But again, if that's you, please make sure you fill out the information on their website and apply for that job. Also, UCSF Facility Service has a number of job opportunities opening up. If you have trade skills, if you want to do janitorial, electrical, whatever you want to do, check them out. They have some openings that are for people in the community. Great opportunities. Please check them out. Also, our both sides of the conversation youth team. We are looking for youth in San Francisco. We're looking for some of our honor roll students in San Francisco to come give back to the community. There's some paid stipends included with this. Please reach out to us at hr@bsotc.org by young people. And I know the parents been calling me, John Henry, why you only want honor roll students? Listen, we do enough stuff for our young folks who are in trouble, okay? Both sides of the conversation, we mentor our youth in juvenile. We work with our at-risk youth. We give them a lot of opportunities and we support them. So we want to also make sure that we support the young people who go to school, who get it right, do the things that they need to do. We want to bring them on and let their voices be heard. Again, we want all of our youth. If you have youth out there, we don't mind bringing them on to our team to help support. But when we're talking about the stipend commitment that our city has made for our young people, these are for high school students and some college students that are in San Francisco that are doing positive things to impact community and keeping up on their end, doing their work. We're going to make sure that we sponsor them. But for all of our other youth, don't feel free. You could call us anytime. Reach out. We got some spots that we need to fill. We need some of our street team folks to be out as we continue to impact community. Just have them reach out to me, all right? We're talking. We'll figure it out. And then as these people capacity build with us and donate and support us, we'll be able to cover all our youth because the mission, the vision is to take care of our youth. So all of our philanthropists, foundations, and folks who have all them large budgets sitting around with nothing to do with it, come bless some of the young people, all right? We got some young people doing some amazing things as well. Also, we are still in the search of volunteers. If you would like to come out and support in any capacity, we have a number of opportunities for folks in the community to come give back. If this is you, you have it in your spirit, you're like, John, I want to give back, I want to do something, but I don't know how, reach out to us. We got something for you. We can help you out, get you going and doing all the work that you need to do. Also, if this is your first time following us, check us out on all of our social media handles at both sides of the conversation. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're all over the place. Go to our YouTube, check us out, and watch the amazing work that we're doing to help impact community in these times because we're going to need it. When it comes to communication, when we talk about changing the narrative, uplifting the voice of Black folks, you know where you could come to both sides of the conversation, and we will always uplift the voice of our people. Also, our next live show coming up is this Tuesday for our Hidden Gem segment. Y'all know every Tuesday at 7 p.m. we will continue to highlight our Black and brown businesses, our community leaders and organizations that are doing positive things to impact our community. Come check us out on Tuesday. See some of the amazing businesses. See some of the amazing folks in our community that are doing things to highlight and impact our community. That's what that show is all about. Come follow us and check us out. It's going to be a tough night that night because I'll be at the supervisors meeting. We'll be yelling, screaming, activating for Black folk. And then I get to come back and be with the people, talk about the amazing things that they're doing. And, it should be a great show. Also, this Thursday, we are still looking for Educational Thursday panelists to do a presentation. If that is you out there, you're like, hey, I've been watching your presentation. I got a PowerPoint. I want to educate the community on something. Please go to our website, sign up for our Educational Thursday. We are looking for folks who can come in here and bless our community with information, whether it's finance, mental health, medical, whatever it is. Our people need the information. Come bless the people. Also, we're going to have a Sunday conversation next Sunday. Can Black love come back to the community during Valentine's Day? We're going to invite some of the fellas and the women. I know earlier this year we had a conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about this Valentine's love and what's going on with love in our community. And, we'll have a great conversation. So the fellas, be on the lookout. We'll be sending out some stuff this week. We got to get our fellas back. Ladies, all of your fantasies about Valentine's Day, the chocolate, the roses. Let's have a conversation about it. Are you going to have black love? Are you going to have it this Valentine's Day? Or are you going to be sitting at home watching King of Thrones by yourself? I don't know. We'll find out. We're going to talk to the fellas and the ladies. We'll have a great conversation about relationships and black love in our community as we continue to unite love for the people. All right, Brother Devin, you want to get into the statistics and talk about what's going on? And let's roll into today's conversation. Go ahead, brother.
Let's do it. About 54 of adolescents aged 15 to 19 have had some type of sexual experience. One national study found that in 2018, 40% of teens aged 14 to 17 reported masturbating within the last year. In 2009, the number was 56, so it has decreased. About 1 in 3 13-year-olds have had a romantic relationship, not necessarily sexual, but romantic, and the number naturally increases by age. By age 17, 70% of teenagers report having had a special romantic relationship within the last 18 months. Among young people aged 15 to 19, about 44% have had oral sex with a different partner. Among young women aged 15 to 19, 15% have had sexual experience with a same-sex partner. 11% aged 15 to 17, and 19% aged 18 to 19. 73% of teenagers have viewed online pornography, either intentionally or by accident, and have said they've seen videos depicting rape or other sexual violence, according to a report released last Tuesday. So this is pretty current. The majority first viewed porn at age 12, although 15% said they've seen it younger than age 10. Almost half felt that pornography offers helpful information about sex. And with that being said, those are the end of the stats. And let's bring Nia up so she can bring our guest up and get into the conversation.
Hey everyone, I'm Nia from the youth team. I'm going to bring up our guest. If you guys could say a couple things about yourself, that would be great. So first, we're going to bring up Brandy.
Hi, I'm Brandy. I'm part of the youth team, the production team, and the marketing team. I've been a part of this organization for about 2 weeks now. I want to make an impact to the community and allow people to hear our voices as a group. So that's about me.
Next, we'll bring up Prince.
Hi, well, I'm new. It's my first time here today. But yeah, I want to be a part of the community, and it looks like a good community to be a part of to get yourself into a lot of things. And honestly, yeah, it sounds good. So, I mean, I'm really new, so I really don't know exactly much to say, but I'm going to say from perspective, for what I've been watching from now, it sounds like a good thing to be a part of and get around a lot. I'm going to start trying to go to San Francisco and stuff and be a part of what y'all got going on and be a part of the community.
Man, we thank you. We're glad you're here, brother.
Next, we'll bring up Shanti.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm gonna say my name is Shanti. I don't know much about the group, to be honest, but it sounds like a good thing, and I like that you guys are doing things for the community. I am a native, but I've never heard of you guys, so I like that I got to. I'm kind of on what he said. I don't know much about it, but I'm glad to learn more and to be here.
Thank you. Glad to have you here today.
And last but not least, Lay.
Hi everyone, I'm Leia. So I have some friends that do this and they always talk about it and it be sounding really fun. The conversations be good. And I feel like it's a good opportunity to like share your opinion, really give back to the community so like everybody can hear everybody's opinion and perspective on things and gain insight. So I think this is a good thing and it's my first time here too. So I'm just excited to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. Young people, this is what this is about. For all y'all new folks that's coming on, both sides of the conversation, we about changing the narrative. We about having conversations and topics that impact our Black and brown community. We talk about the taboo conversation, the stigma conversation, the power of the youth. The reason why we have these conversations, we want to uplift the voice of the youth. Too many times in our community, the elders of the community say, John, We want to hear from the young people. We want to hear their thoughts. We want to know what's on their mind. We're trying to connect with the youth. We need to know what's going on with the youth. So today, this is what we do twice a month. We give space for our youth. We empower you all. We pass the torch to you all so you can lead the conversation for the mothers of the community, for the fathers of the community, for the grandparents, for the foster parents. They need to understand. They're trying to figure out what's going on with our young people. There's a disconnect. So we're trying to connect y'all. We want to give y'all the torch. This is y'all conversation. Y'all take the lead. Whatever you feel you would like to give. There's some young people out there that's watching. There's some grandparents, some parents that are responsible for young people that is watching. And these conversations trigger the mind and make them think about, how do I support mine? How do I uplift mine? How do I get involved? And today, we'll start that conversation with you all. Today's conversation, the topic community, is have our youth been exposed to sex too early? All right. It's a great conversation. I think it's something important, especially in our Black community. When we talk about our teenagers, when we talk about our young people, when we talk about how we engage as a family, these conversations sometimes doesn't happen in our home. So today we're going to learn from our young people. Is it too much exposure? Is it too much on social media? Is it too much in the music? Is it too much in the movies? Is it too much in our schools? Is it too much in our very homes? When we talk about sex, when we talk about this intimacy, when we talk about young and youth relationships, we have to have the conversation. So today, the youth will bring forward this conversation to the people, and we'll be here to help facilitate. But again, we want to know, teach the community, the parents that are watching, y'all, let them know. Is it a lot of exposure? Is it an issue? Or if it's not an issue, let them know. How do you all want your parents and your loved ones to engage when you have these real conversations? I know when we talk about sex, when we talk about these conversations, it becomes very for people. But this is our job. We got to have the conversation. We have to be real. We are in 2023. The number of STDs are going up in our community when it comes to young people. The amount of single moms being pregnant is a lot in our community. How do we fix it? How do we educate our young people? This is what this conversation is about. And again, I'm going to pass it over to Devin and to the youth team. Y'all kick it off whatever way y'all want. I know, Devin, you got some questions that you want to throw out there. And we could throw them out and get started. And I want to hear from the youth so the community folks who are listening today can find out what they need to do for their young folks and their family and help them be prepared when we talk about relationships, sex, and intimacy in our community.
Yes, sir. I just want to, I want to start it off kind of with a basic question, but what is the right age to talk about sex, and when did you guys have, the birds and the bees talk, and when did you start coming and learning more about sex personally?
For me, I feel like I never really had birds and the bees talk. I kind of just experienced things for myself, like with my peers, watching them and what they do. My mom kind of brought it up to me when I was 14, but we never really sat down and had a full conversation about it. So I think that's maybe something I should have had growing up, but I'm all right. I know things now, so.
Well, I think we got to change the birds and the bees, Devin. I'm tired of hearing about birds and the bees, okay? We got young people. We got to talk about real sex, okay? And I'm glad Nia said that because this is a problem in our community. Black parents, brown parents do not sit down and have the real honest conversation with their young people. Young people are afraid to open up and have this conversation because they nervous and they worried about being in trouble, being on punishment. We got to change the dynamic. We got to have a conversation. So I just want to pass around, but we getting away from the birds and bees. We having real talk. Okay. We talking about the real stuff. All right. But go ahead. Pass it on.
Okay, I'll go. So basically, my parents, they never really talked to me about it either. I honestly learned, I feel like, the most from like a class. Like, I don't know if everybody had to do this because I'm from Maryland, but we had like a class in like 6th grade where it was like basically like a sex ed, basically, and they would talk about it, and that was where I learned most of the things about sex, along with like peers and stuff like that too. But I feel like another part of his question was the right age. And I just want to say, like, it has to be so early because of social media now. Like, I have little cousins and stuff like that, and they know about, like, I worked at a summer camp before, and there was little kids coming to me like, oh, yeah, like, I'm lesbian. Like, I like girls, and I kissed a girl at my school. And I'm just like, you're literally in the 3rd grade. Like, that is so insane. But this is literally, you can't, if you're going to give your child a phone, an iPad, or anything, they are so smart when it comes to technology. They're going to find out all of this stuff. So you have like, where before you could get away with, parents could get away with not talking about it. Maybe the school would tell them about it, or like hopefully some, maybe another person like peers. Like I feel like now this generation, it has to be laid on the table like early on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That we're actually gonna get into those topics that you brought up, but yeah, that's real. And yeah, speaking on my appearances, I kind of was the same. I grew up with my grandma a lot too, so that's why I use the birds and the bees context, because that's what she kind of sat down and told us. But really, what I learned was from my peers too, and from, I guess, social media. And it's 2023. You can easily look up something on Google if you really want to know how it works. So that's how I learned too, just based on my family. What you got to say,
Devin? I just had to bring the birds and bees up because I think my grandmother tried to tell me about the birds and bees, and I made honey. I had a baby at 17, so I want to have the birds and bees conversation. I was like, Grandma, why you just didn't tell me that I could make a baby? You talking about birds and bees? I'm not making honey. All right, next person. I'm sorry, next person.
I was gonna say, so like my parents, like they sat down with me when I was probably like 14. I'll say about 14, 13. They sat down with me, gave me that talked about babies, just everything, really, like just relationship wise, and just pick the right one. But other than that, I had that talk earlier. And being around my cousins a lot, like older cousins too, like they talk about it a lot. They'll just tell me everything. I had no choice but to know it all at a young age. So yeah, I'm pretty, yeah.
So Prince, let me ask you this. Was the conversation more of like a fearful conversation, trying to fear you not to have sex? Or was it a real conversation? I want to know.
All right, I go like, it's not a fear conversation. It's more like, you better go and get That was with my cousins though, but my parents was more like, you should wait, like marriage and all that. Like, yeah, but my cousins, nah. I'm gonna be real, like.
All right, next person.
For
Go
me,
ahead.
my mom and my granny, I have a sister and she's like a little older than me, and she had a kid in high school. So I felt like, for me, I feel like I got to talk because of, I think my mom didn't want me to be like, like go down the same path that she went down. So I had to talk kind of early, I feel like. But then at the same time, like Devin had said, I was raised with my granny a lot also. And I feel like, I don't want to say it was implied because I don't feel like we ever actually sat down and had like a talk. But I feel like growing up, it was just like, I don't want to say implied, but it was just a lot of things that was said that is like, I got the hint that that's something I'm not supposed to be doing at a certain age, and that's something I'm not supposed to be worried about at a certain age. And then I'm like, I know the talk that I got and the talk that my brother got was very different. Like, I feel like the talk that my brother got was more like, don't be bringing heck of people in here, and if you're gonna do it, like, be safe. Duh, duh. I feel like my mom had that kind of talk with my brother, but with me, I feel like the talk was more like, you not supposed to be doing this and that, and don't be fast. And I feel like, especially my granny, she was really old school. So I feel like the talk from her was more like, just don't be fast, like this, that, and the third. I feel like the talk that the boys get and that the girls get is not the same talk at all.
Well, I think that's a good conversation. We're going to get in there and find out what's the difference. But Brandy, go ahead. Jump in there, Brandy.
Like Shanti said, my mom was a young mother. Apologies for my voice. I lost my voice this morning. But my mom was a young mother, so she was always fearful that I would go down the same path as her. So I got the same talk from a very young age. And I believe that even though my mom was a young mother, that everyone should get the talk at an early age, considering the fact that that could happen to anyone. It could have been me. It could have been any of my family members. And that it shouldn't just be depicted on, if you had a similar family member who's had that conversation because they had an early mom. But yeah, I got that talk, and really I learned everything else from, fast friends and, their social media, all of that. So it was really just based on my mom and social media.
And congratulations to your basketball team for pulling off a victory this weekend. You're a young star out there. We got another young Steph Curry shooting here. You young Brandy be balling on the court. And congratulations to your team, and y'all win, and continued success for you. But real quick, Devin, as you go into the question, because I think this is a fair conversation, colleagues, if you want to jump in here, when we talk about these conversations with as parents, as community leaders, and we talk to our young folks, I hear this consistency that there's a different conversation for young males and a different conversation for females. How do we fix that in our community? And when we're talking about the age of educating our young people, I think somebody said it earlier. I think we have to start early as possible. I was against it at first. Why do we want to educate people in the 5th grade, 4th grade, 5th grade about sex? But to Devin's point, the access to social media, YouTube, all of the things that our young people have access to it's out there, and it's hard to keep it away when you talk about music, the movies. But how do we educate them in a way? Because I heard most of you all really didn't get that real conversation. And I'm trying to figure out, as adults, as an organizational leader, as a parent, as a grandparent, I'm still trying to figure this out. What is the appropriate conversation, and how do you make that conversation comfortable where, one, the young folks feel safe and open to have the conversation, and how do we as adults make sure that we lead them and guide them in the right way, that they not only understand the impact of having sex or becoming a parent, but what about all of the other things that we really need to put into play? So, Khalees, if you want to jump in there, and then Devin, I'll let you ask the other question, but I think we need to get there and to the community, engage, because some of y'all parents out there, I know, y'all trying to have a conversation right now with your babies. Learn something from the young people.
So here goes. As a mother of sons and a daughter, the conversation is different. I was raised by my grandmother, which was very strict, so there was no conversation. It was just don't do it. There's no questions asked because she was a Southerner. You just don't do it. No questions, no two-way conversation. You just listen and hope you didn't do it. But unfortunately, I was curious. Nonetheless, as a mother of sons and a daughter, the conversation is clearly different. One, sons don't bring babies home. Girls do. So you got to lock down on them girls, because I hate to say this, but I believe that sons, like the hormones get a little wild, right? And as a student going to elementary school, I remember them boys out there. They used to be chasing the girls down and trying to be physical with them. And I'm not going to get into it. They be trying to chase the girls down, right? So it's like, wait a minute. Okay, so I tell my sons, look, don't do this, that, and another. And I was explicit with them because I wanted them to understand the different consequences of not listening to me. So I turned how my grandmother told me, just don't. I turned it around and I was explicit, very detailed, and I let them know different pros and cons and getting into it too early. Now for my daughter, I was like, look, I was explicit one more time, but this is the difference. Boys, if you do it, this can happen. But make sure you protect yourself and this, that, and another, and know them girls are trying to get you, right? They may lock you down. I mean, especially, they're both athletes. So make sure, don't make no automatic bank deposits. Nonetheless, them girls, there's no exception. You're going to stagnate your future. So I was harsh, I was tough, but I was firm because I wanted to prevent my baby from going through what I had went through, because it was a struggle. But that's why the conversation is different, because boys, they're going to get it. Girls, they can bring something back home.
Yeah,
I think they both can bring something back home. Regardless of one person carrying, they both can bring something back home. But I want to have that conversation because I heard you say that you wanted to be, you said you was convinced, you wanted to see, you was intrigued. And I think this is why this conversation is important, because there's some young people out there who are younger. I mean, you look at the statistics in the Bay Area of young teenage pregnancies, 11, 12 years old. Those numbers are increasing. All right. There are some young folks that has that in their mind. So how do we help them? Devin, jump in there.
No, I wanted to speak on the difference between the male and the female conversation, because that's true. As y'all know, I have a twin sister, so our conversation was definitely a little different. And just because of the simple fact, like, the girl has to carry the baby for 9 months. The guy, it's more, how do I say, I guess more significant for the woman if they bring back a baby. Maybe significant is not the right word, but y'all get what I'm saying. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it's true. But we also, when it came to like the finances and the school, like I remember my grandpa and my granny sitting us down, and they told us everything it costs to be an adult and everything, how much diapers cost, how much all this costs. And it was like, if you want to have a kid right now, that'd be your choice because you're not gonna be able to afford it. And then where you're gonna live, it was the whole thing. So I think yeah, it's important to have a conversation, but the conversation is different. I think it should be different.
So Devin, I got a quick question for you because I mean this is what I hear over and over again. So it sounds like in the Black community, when we try to have this conversation about sex, we talk about relationships and all of that. It seems that it's more of a punitive conversation. It's more of like, this is what could happen. Not really so much of a preventative conversation of not only what the outcomes could be, but preventing us on why we should not be in that mindset or why we should not engage in those acts. So I think that's a good point because I hear that all the time. Everybody is like in the Black community, all we talk about is the problem. We never talk about the preventive measures that we need to do to make sure that our young people get that knowledge. So what I'm trying to really shift as we talk about change the narrative, how do we get our parents in the community to think from that perspective of preventative and not just the punitive of what the outcome could be, but solutions and what can happen before the outcome. And I think from you all being here as young people, you can help drive that conversation because there's a parent out there listening. Believe me, y'all, today there's somebody listening who's dealing with a teenage young lady or young male, and she's looking for that answer. How do I have this conversation? What does that conversation look like? So you all as young folks, what would you like when you embrace the conversation? How would you like the conversation when we talk about preventing or the preventive conversation? What does that look like for our parents? So if somebody's stepping in, they can have that conversation with their young people tonight.
Me personally, I think the same talk we get, I feel like if dudes got that too, it will be a difference. Personally, I feel like if they got at least half of the, because I feel like even when they do get to talk, I feel like the way he explained it, I feel like the responsibility part is never on the man also. I feel like it's mostly on the woman. So I feel like when parents talk about about not being pregnant and not getting pregnant, I feel like they only really are talking to us. I feel like they're not talking to the people that's getting us pregnant. I don't think they're talking about those people.
So Shanti, I got a question though. I hear you. I think both boys and girls need that real conversation because even though the girl's carrying the baby, there's a responsibility. And I think you're right. If we don't have that conversation, then this is our young people. The young males are growing up and not understanding and assume that same responsibility. But my question to you is, as a young lady, what would you would like that conversation to be presented to you? Let's just say if you had to go all the way back over as a young lady, how would you like to embrace that conversation with your parent? Because what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get y'all to think. There's a parent out there watching. There's a single dad, a single mother, or there's a family out there. It's a grandmother. They know that their young people in their house or around them are having these thoughts. Are they watching their behaviors? How do you engage in that conversation? Or what would you all like as youth for your parents to sit you down and have that conversation? Do you want it the punitive way? Or how would you like that preventive conversation to take place?
Okay, I know you asked Shanti a little bit, but I'm gonna kind of jump in too. For one, I feel like parents should, okay, the way that they talk to boys, I feel like it's almost like I know you're gonna do it, so be safe. And the way that they talk to girls is more like a don't do it at all. And I feel like parents first should understand that girls have hormones too, and girls be under the same type of pressure, or they see the boys and they think a certain thing. Like 9 times out of 10, at some age, hopefully the right age, is going to happen for both. So I feel like that same like how to be safe should be talked about. And then I also feel like you have to tap back into like a child's mindset. So girls, they think like, oh, they get real emotional. So they're like, oh, this boy likes me, this boy loves me, we're in a relationship, we're supposed to do this. Like, I feel like parents should cover all the different reasons why girls may feel like they need to have sex or they want to have sex. It could be peer pressure, it could be the guy, it could be maybe any type of insecurities. Like, I feel like all of those things need to be like laid on the table. Tell the young girls and boys too, like, you're handsome, you're beautiful, you don't need that, you don't need a partner, you don't need anything like that to feel secure, any type of childlike relationship. And also, I feel like if the parent can't cover all those basics, get a book. I had read this really good book with my little cousin, and it was like, I forgot, what was it called? It was like 7 things that guys don't tell you or something like that. I know it kind of sounds like it's geared towards girls because it kind of was, but it was really good. Like, and it went over like self-worth, and it went over like confidence and like respect, and like how guys respect you more when you say no and you wait and all this other stuff. And it was like a really good book because parents, they not going to remember all the keys and all the different ways that guys try to get you. Or even, I know this is sounding like guys are the bad guys, y'all are not. But they're not gonna remember all of those different type of things. So I feel like, you know, a book or like something like that to have them read, like go over it with them like weekly, like, all right, we're gonna read chapter 1. What did you learn? How did you feel about it? Do you have any, like, do you disagree with something maybe the author said, something that I said? And like that's like a good parenting strategy too, I feel like.
So I have to ask the question. I want to make sure I hear you clear because they always say I don't hear you. So you said parents, talk to the young girls like you do the boys. Tell them, don't say no to sex. Just say, we know our girls going to have sex, and educate them on how to protect themselves. That's the first thing. Is that what you getting off? I want to make sure I'm not speaking.
Yes, because like it's, well, you can say wait, and you can give them an age, like, you know, 18 or something, college or something. But it's just, I just like to be real. Like, it's like the people, when we talk about virginity and when people lost their virginity, it was about 16. A lot of my friends, it was about 16. Like, that was the average age. Like, so it's just like, I know it's kind of hard to imagine a parent's mind. You really don't want it to be that. But it's just like, I don't know. I've rather play it safe than sorry, you know, assuming that your child's gonna wait till college and they don't, like, you know. So yeah, kind of.
No, so listen, we keep it real here. We don't play no games. I want the truth, all right? But I want you to put in the chat when you find out that book, because I'm impressed that you said it was a book. I'm gonna tell you right now, when I was 17 years old, it wasn't no books out there.
No, it was, and it broke it down really good. Like, it was like 7 reasons, and it gave like testimonials from like other girls, like high school people that was in high school, and like stuff like, oh, I thought this boy this and this happened, and we broke up this later. Or even the guys too, it would be like, yeah, like she was my girlfriend, but I knew I wasn't gonna take her serious, or I knew I wasn't gonna marry her, so I didn't really care. Like, just like real stuff that people need to read and see. This is really how young people think. So I'm putting in the chat.
Yeah, if you can find the book, put it in the chat so we can share it with our young people and our parents out there. But I think you're right, Lade, that, you know, we got to have this real conversation in our community, because you're right. Some of the parents out there, some of the community organizations that work with these youth, they think, oh, these kids are waiting till they're 18, 19. The truth is, young people are more sexually active at the age of 13 and younger. So how do we have these conversations? That's why I think this is so important, because there is a lot of exposure. There's a lot of influence. When you listen at these artists, Lil Kayla, you listen to all these women artists out here who's talking about how young ladies are supposed to be. Our young women are picking it up. These are the music that we're twerking to. This is the stuff that they're doing already. So how do we fix that? And again, we're going to continue that conversation and push it around. But yeah, if you find a book, put it up there, because I want our young people to get resources. Every show, I want to have some kind of resource that young people could use, parents could use. But parents, don't be fooled out here. The young people, 13 and younger, are starting to have sex younger and younger. The conversation has to happen, and we have to figure a way to have that icebreaker, to have that real conversation. But I'll pass it around to the next person who want to jump in there. And I see Jocelyn's trying to get set up, and she'll be up here shortly. But go ahead, young people.
I was gonna say, see, I was gonna say, I know you should be strict. I know you should be strict, but I feel like it's best to, like, sometimes you should just sit down, talk to your kid, like you got other stuff to worry about, and that's just like little stuff. Honestly, that shouldn't even come to mind, because you got bigger stuff to think about. Like, first of all, your goals, all that. Like, that's the first thing that should come to mind. But I feel like until you like financially stable and all that, that's when you should worry about a kid and stuff. Like, and I feel like that's what you should talk to your kid about, because if they open up to that, that's what they gonna go for. Like, cause that's what I would go for, honestly.
Prince, you sound like you was having sex at 13, Prince. Was you having sex at 13,
Prince?
Why you say that?
I'm just giving you a hard time, Prince.
Nah, but to add on to what Prince said, I agree. I don't think all the whole conversation needs to be all like sit down at a table, pull out the chair, let's be serious, talk about sex, because that just makes it uncomfortable. I feel like it should be an open conversation. It should be like, you know, laugh a little bit, joke a little bit. Like, it's your child should feel able to tell you if they even had sexual experiences, or if they like somebody. Like, it should just be open conversation. But I think that starts before you even get to sex. Like, you already have to have that relationship with your child to even be able to talk about sex in a raw and a unique way, because it's important. But yeah, I just think it should be open. Open
But Devin,
dialogue.
how do you do that? Because young people, you start saying, "Hey, I want to have a conversation. Let's talk about sex." Most young people are like, "Dad, Mom," I was like, "No."
That's true, because we don't
How
want to
do
hear it, and we don't want to think of our parents having sex either. So that's just like two red flags. But it got to be done like that, and I think what needs to happen in the conversation, like say some of your experiences on what you went through growing up, and make it a an open platform for your child to speak up and say what they want to, how they feel and what they want to know, and be open book. If they ask you a question, don't, oh, I don't want to answer that one. No, tell them the true and the real, so that they can tell you the true and the real.
I think that's a good perspective. I think our parents out there, definitely, we have to find a softer spot when we have these conversations. I know parents, when we understand as we grow up, we made our mistakes and we learned, and we want our kids to walk that straight path. But I think you're right, Devin. Like, how do we have that real conversation without being upset? How do we make our young people feel supported and feel like they can be empowered by what they want to speak out to you without it being a disciplinary action or a mean response? I think that's something we have to really dive into. And I mean, I think the elders of the community is a conversation that we need to have, as we transition and we try to bring these young folks forward. How do we do our part to stay open as well, to have the conversation? But again, like Devin highlighted, how do we make the conversation fun and less tenseful, right? And how do we make it where it's welcoming and the education of the whole conversation, to point out the things? And I think using the scare tactics and things of that nature, I just don't think it works. From my perspective, I'm like Devin. I like to have the open conversation. I want them to understand what can take place and what can happen, but also that conversation of why, what makes you think like that. And again, we know influences of social media and all the other things around us definitely impacts that as well. So, yeah, I feel you, Devin. But go ahead. Anybody else want to jump in there? Brandy, anybody? Go ahead, Nia.
Yeah, I had something to say. Coming off of what Devin said and what Leia said, so I feel like girls should get the same conversation that the boys had as well, because y'all like to make it so one-sided that the fact that the girls simply can't do anything. There's no conversation. We can't have any feedback. It's just, you can't have sex and it should be at that. The boys have the option, whereas you might be able to do it. Just don't let me find out. Don't let me do this and that. I feel like y'all should know that as y'all were growing up, y'all wanted to do it as well. You guys can't put the pressure on us, the fact that we can't have sex, because eventually we will. Simple. We will. And it's not going to be a perfect situation. And like Devin said, I wish it was an open conversation, whereas we could get feedback as well, because it's uncomfortable. It's extremely uncomfortable, where we feel like sometimes we can't talk to our parents about the situation. And so we continue to do the things that we do behind our parents' back. And I believe that the conversation should be brought in to both sides of the parties. And maybe we should talk about, like Leia said, about a book. Both parents, and if you don't have both parents, when you're a guardian, just sit down with you, read a book, and talk about the situation, talk about sex, and be open to it.
Okay, Brandy, that's gonna be a hard conversation, Brandy. I'm a dad. I'm a papa. You got me thinking about my 6-year-old grandbaby. How do I have that conversation with? I don't want to just tell my 6-year-old grandbaby as she getting older, "Oh, grandbaby, you can have sex. Girls have sex too." I don't know. That's a hard.
I gotta break that.
I think that's a hard conversation. I don't know. I got some time till she get a little older, but I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, as a father, my daughter's 26 years old, but I mean, even when my daughter was a teenager, that's a hard conversation as a man to tell your daughter, "Oh, it's okay, it's going to happen." But again, I'm glad y'all bringing it up, because it's making me think here. See, this is why y'all got to be here to talk about this stuff. But now I got to think about it. I got some brothers in the community that got young teenage daughters right now. Like, how do we have this conversation? Because as men, we don't want to talk about that with our daughters. We don't want our daughters thinking about that. So I guess that's a great point. We're going to figure it out today. But anybody else, go ahead and jump in there.
Oh yeah. So this conversation is definitely causing me a little anxiety. But I can say this. For the ladies, what happens? I have a lot of friends that immediately put their daughters on birth control, right? I mean, they don't know if these babies was intimate or not, or having sex, but they immediately put their daughters on birth control. So this is strictly for the ladies. I was trying to be sneaky, right? My grandmother raised me. I was trying to be sneaky, I'm telling y'all. And all my community and family members out there that may be watching. You get nailed the first time, get pregnant. That's your baby. You're going to take care of that baby. I mean, it's a big responsibility, but there was no sneakiness in that because my grandmother knew right away before I even knew. You done got pregnant now. And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't lie because I didn't know. But nonetheless, it's it can happen. It can happen. So I'm just saying, do you just take your baby girl and throw her on birth control? How do you feel about that?
I think that's a good point, but I mean the flip side of it too, colleagues, and this is why I'm talking about the preventative conversation, because I think that's an easy way out when parents just say, "Hey, I'm gonna put my daughter on birth control," and then they go, "I don't have to worry about it." And I think that's also a negative impact that's impacting the young women of our community, because when we talk about these parents who do that exact thing, now we don't talk about the risk of reward, right? The reward is, oh, if she's on birth control, I don't have to worry about a baby. But then the risk part, right? When we talk about these preventative measures that young girls do, you talk about the obesity, the amount of weight gain. You talk about some of the emotional things that these birth controls do to our young people, that also impact them when it comes to their mental health, when it comes to their well-being. I think those conversations are not had either, right? And now we have a bunch of young folks who are on birth controls. They're picking up weight. Now they're insecure about their weight. This stuff causes other harm, mental health stuff, that I think we don't talk about when we talk about their food, their digestion, the things that impact them, not being able to have their regular menstrual cycles, all kind of stuff that this stuff affects our young people that we don't talk about, and these drugs that we give them to prevent them from having children, but the side effects of it, like how do we address that as well? Because I think it's almost like the child care syndrome, right? It's just like the same thing, right? You have a baby, we'll send them to child care. Now you don't want your kid to be pregnant, so we put them on birth control, but we're not having a real conversation. And this is what this is all about. How do we get the people in the community, whether it is your mother or your father, but how do we get community folks equipped to handle these questions when our young people come to them? Because your daughter might not come to you. My daughter didn't always come to me. How do we equip the people in the community that makes it safe for them to have that conversation? And one, they're giving off the right information.
Like you said, some real stuff. I think it kind of leads into the next question, which is like, do we feel that school has an effective teaching methods about sex? And yeah, there's some more to get in that, but let's answer that one first.
I don't think that schools take enough measures to allow you to understand the negative parts about sex and introducing them into sex. All they do is tell you and teach you about STDs, and that's literally the most that they'll do. They teach you about STDs, and that's basically it. You have 5 weeks to understand and learn that information, and you go to the next class. I believe that no school takes enough measures into making kids understand all of the downfalls and negativities of understanding what happens after sex.
Yeah, definitely. I know, like Lay said, they had taught her in the 6th grade. I think they did that with us too. It was either the 5th or the 6th grade. And it was a good age to be introduced to sex and STDs and things of that nature. But I feel like they should have another course in middle school, another course in high school, because that's when things start, I guess, evolving. But yeah, it should definitely be taught more than it is being taught. They think, well, the fact that the teaching age is in elementary school really doesn't make sense because kids don't really pay attention at that age anyways. That, I guess that's just to introduce us, but yeah, they need to keep on teaching us.
So do y'all feel like this should be something that's, you said ongoing? Is this like part of your curriculum for graduating? And then how do we do it as a community? How do we do it in family, right? How do we make this something that's available? And I hope my community organization leaders out there, I hope my folks who are in mental health, that's running program for our young people, like this is what our young people are asking. How do we create this programming? How do we create this curriculum so that we can have this ongoing conversations? How do we equip the parents? Maybe you can't reach all of the children, but how do we create programming in a way that we can send this out and distribute it to our community so our parents can have these tools. Because I'm gonna tell you, I never got a book on how to be a parent and how to deal with these conversations and stuff. But community, since we hear our young people and this is what they're talking about, they want more of it. They want it to be more regular so that they can grow into it. Organizers, community folk that are working with our young people. How do we create curriculum? How do we create programming so that our young people continuously get this information? Because I think this is very important. You guys asked for the young people's perspective. They are talking about it. How do we now mobilize and create the action plan? We have an issue, a lack of this information. Community, how do we create the programming to impact our young people? And then to the young people, if we do create the programming, how do you get involved? What would you like to see in this programming? Do we pay the youth to go to this program and learn? How do we reward them for wanting to be open and honest about these conversations? I think that's a great point, Brandy, that you brought up. Our teachers, our principals, how do you find in your budget a way to make sure our young Black and brown children are getting access to this type of information? I think it's a great one to have. And, I think we got to continue to look at it. We'll see what we can do here at both sides of the conversation. Maybe we'll create an online class. Brandy, maybe you'll lead the class. We'll get you guys involved. The youth team will lead it, all right? We'll figure out a way. But I want to make sure we put something in place and create a space for our young people to make sure that they get the right information because they might live with parents that can't get it to them in the way they need it. What are we going to do, community? A question's been asked from our youth. Community, how do we work together and create this for our young people? But I'll pass it on to the next person.
I think, go ahead.
You go. Okay. I was going to say, I just want to add, and I feel like one of the ways that like it's a great conversation when as a parent is to be relatable. Like one thing that I really admired that my dad will always tell me is like he would tell me the way he ran game when he was a youngin'. He'd be like, I am a dude. These are the things that I used to do. These are the things that I was thinking when a girl would do this or a girl would show me this. And it was like, it made me look at him like, okay, he's a real person that's been in my shoes before. Not that he's this perfect parent who's always had it together. So I feel like that always made me feel better. And then also I feel like parents should tap into the emotional side of sex as well, because I feel like the STDs and the pregnancy, like nobody's thinking about that in the moment. Like what's thinking about in the moment is like the feelings, the hormones, like the emotions that go into that girls often have and stuff like that. So I feel like schools can talk about STDs and how sex works, but parents need to explain the emotion that goes into it before and after, how after when you've had sex with this person and you're no longer together, and how that makes young people feel and how they're not ready for that because they're not fully developed. So I feel like emotion is another thing besides just like the hardcore, you can catch this can happen, this can happen. Like let's talk about like some feelings in your heart, stuff like that.
That's a great point.
So I'm thinking back. I believe that also being a strict parent may create a sense of fear with our youth, because sometimes we chastise our children, right? And I believe that we need to be more lax and create a safe space for our children to communicate about it. So I think that would help with having that conversation and not having the kids be fearful to be open about, the conversation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think also strict parenting kind of makes a sneaky child. So, yeah, I just want to say that because I agree with you, but I agree with that as well.
Hey, Devin, how prevalent is that? I mean, I want to hear from y'all young people. Do y'all feel like parents today? I mean, we being real. Most of y'all friends, people y'all around, do y'all feel the parents are too strict? Honestly.
I've seen it. I don't think my parents were too strict, but I've definitely seen it. Like, they can't be out past 9 p.m. on a weekday, or they can't go to the movies with their friends, or like just certain things. Not having Instagram in high school is like some things that you're just that when they see everybody else around them doing these type of things, they're definitely gonna be having like the fear of missing out. So they're gonna want to do it anyway, and they're gonna find a way to do it without you knowing. And I've seen it time and time again. So I don't think strict parenting is the best method to creating an open relationship with your child.
So Devin, do you really, so y'all telling me that when that happens, there's some resentment that's built up? Because this is what the people in the community need to hear. When we over policing our young people, is a resentment that's built up.
Yeah, I would agree.
I agree too.
I think it's more the rush that they get when they do the things that you said they can't. Like I have friends at this big age whose mothers are still controlling them, and we're in college. But um, it's like little do you know the things that we do when they're over here, and and aside from at home, it's just yeah. I think being more lenient with your kids will definitely help you guys build a better relationship. Like I'm comfortable enough to tell my mom the things I did last night or things of that nature.
Man, that's very powerful. Y'all see, community. Let's pull it up the book. That's the book y'all need to go out and buy for the families. Great conversation there. We're gonna have to check this book out. And maybe we'll buy a couple of these books and we'll give them out to some of our youth folks that we're working with. But I think this is a great guide. Community, check it out. Go pick up the book. Have a conversation with your young people. She said this was a great book, so I think it's something that we need to definitely look into and check out. All right, keep going, Devin. Pass it around to the next person. Anybody else have? You said, Prince, you want to jump in there and say something? I know you came up.
So I have a question
I was
for
going.
Queen,
Oh yeah.
who was a teen mother. If you felt that you were able to conversate with your grandma about, the curiosities you did have, do you believe that she would have became a teen mother at that age?
I can answer that. I believe so. I believe that if I could have had that two-way conversation with her and asked the questions and got them answered truthfully, I believe that would have prevented it. Also, Southerners and older folks like your grandparents, they're not very, I shouldn't say not loving people, but they don't like encourage and motivate and they're not very lovey-dovey and you're beautiful, none of that. They're not like that. So it creates you want to reach out and go out there and see, what you can get and fill that void that you're missing at home. So, I think that if she would have allowed us to talk about it, it probably would have prevented it all. But I took the scenic route.
But Khalees, do you think that, when we talk about generational curses, I know we talked about that last weekend and how we pass these type of behaviors down to the next generation. Your grandmother had her way of doing business. Now we have this younger generation, and what they're saying is, hey, elders, the way y'all did the business is not the way we do the business. How do we get our elders in the community to change that mind shift, to help our young people out? Because I think that's the problem. The sooner our elders could grasp a hold of where we at in today's reality, not where they were, and as soon as we get our young people to be open to listen and get both perspectives, I think we really move our communities forward.
They need to communicate. They really need to understand communication. Like kids can ask questions. They can. They're not talking back. They're not being defensive. They need to allow space for them to ask questions and put their feelings into word and not feel like they need to attack them or they need to create that safe space for the children. I think that our youth really need to be able to talk about it and not feel like they're going to be retaliated against.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree.
that
I think
that's go ahead, Devin.
I wanted to say that I agree, and I think that kind of leads into my next kind of area of basically those conversations. But let's say the conversation was your child was asking or your grandchild was asking, I have these feelings towards a person of the same sex. So I think that conversation needs to be open and available with the elders, because as we know, this is kind of newer in our society, so it's harder for those to accept. And I wanted to ask, what do you guys think about schools introducing different genders and sexuality? Is that positive for our community or negative, or can it be risky? How are we feeling?
I think that kids should figure that out themselves instead of it being introduced, I guess. But yeah, at a certain age, they should definitely be educated about it. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they should learn about it too young. But
I feel like we're still in that gray area. Like I know we're very forward, we're very woke, but like I feel like it's still almost like, okay, you should like the opposite sex, but if you don't, then that's okay. Whereas like bringing it up and teaching it is like, okay, like here's these options. Like you could literally do A or B. Like it's like presenting them to them versus one is like, like just in case, So I don't know. I feel like I personally, it wouldn't bother me, but I know it's very hard for like people of the older generations to like come to terms. Like people talk about like that in movies. Like, are they showing too much same sex stuff in movies and stuff like that? They're introducing it. So I feel like it's always gonna be a difference of like perspective on that.
I'm listening to some of the music out there sometimes, right? And I sometimes have to rewind it back, run it back, and I have to make sure I'm hearing what I'm hearing. I'm hearing same sex in these songs and it's being promoted. I'm hearing threesomes. I mean, all of this different stuff that's taking place. I mean, like you said earlier, Devin, you can Google anything and it's going to pop up. I had a crazy pop up on my cell phone and I almost was ready to just take the phone back because I couldn't get it off my phone, but it gets crazy. I mean, so all this music and stuff, and you can search everything. You're giving kids, 8-year-old kids, cell phones. I mean, they could get that same pop-up I was getting. So, I mean, what do you do?
That was definitely one of my questions. I was going to ask if cell phones play a big role, and I think they do. I think two younger kids have cell phones. Like I had a cell phone in first grade, but it was a Nokia. But they got iPhones and stuff now. They got access to porn, and they go on it. Little do you know, they are on it. So I think cell phones are a big issue.
So if we know that young people are getting the phones and access to the internet earlier, it goes back to my question earlier. How young do we start the conversation? And then how do we have the preventative conversation? Because we are headed in these times where younger and younger kids are getting access to this information. They're acting out these acts. I mean, you could go on the news. There's been stories where elementary kids, fourth graders, fifth graders are like trying to have sex in the closets at schools. I mean, this stuff is really happening. So again, when is it too young? And then how do we have the preventive conversation? And we'll keep that going all day as you all are thinking. And I know Devin is moving us through the questions, but think about that because I think that's a very important part of the conversation.
Well, to answer,
I'm going to say,
go ahead.
So to answer the question, I think that we should have the conversation when the kids are going through puberty. Normally in the third, fourth grade, they are going through puberty and they're already, they're developing and whatnot. So at the end of the day, if we don't get to our kids, someone else will. So it lies the responsibility of parents, because if you think about it, in 2021, 64% of our Black families are single parent homes. Now, when we think about it, that's what 5 out of the people over here have single parent homes. I don't know that have how many in here have both parents together.
Right.
64%. So what I'm saying is that sometimes how we bring the conversation in is we talk about why are we having sex? To make babies so we can in a family unit. So one of the conversations, a starter that we can have with our kids, it says, hey, baby, one day, would you like to be married? I don't know, but okay, well, baby, one day you are going to get married, or if you desire, and we have to teach our kids, our young people, our young women, how to be wives. We're not teaching this whole unit of, the husband and wife, a unit, a family. So when we teach unit and family, then it's like, oh, now we can teach. Now the husbands are teaching their sons how to become when, and the responsibilities of taking care of a child, and when make sure if you're going to be doing this, make sure that's the one, and that's the one you want to be able to take care of, provide for. This, so we're not having those conversations about relationships nowadays. Sex is like popcorn, like, oh yeah, that's fun, that tastes good, yes. And that's not, we got to take it serious more than just, oh, it feels good. No, it's a commitment to another person, because when you have that baby, you can't, now it's like I can just, get abortion, and really God designed sex for a marriage to procreate, to create a family unit. So if we have that conversation with our children, and it's based on your values too. If you don't have those those values, and we're not teaching our kids. Anybody could teach our kids. We can go to school and everybody could do, oh, this and that. Oh, here, protection. And their kids is like, what for what? You know what I'm saying? And so we have to introduce it to them first, so that when they do get in a situation, or when they start hearing, they already have a viewpoint. They already have opinion. They have something to say about it. You know what I'm saying? But it comes from the parents. But again, we need to build our Black families. We need to build it together. It's husband and wife. You know what I'm saying? You don't, unless you thinking about getting married, you don't have sex, because in the case that you do have sex and you have a baby and this is not really the person you want to be with, and then there you go. There's another single parent family. And now again, sex is just for pleasure.
But Jocelyn, I mean, I have to bring this up because we have to be, and I hear you. I mean, that's the right conversation to have, but we have to, in reality, when we look at sex from the movies, from the media, it's not promoted as a family building orientation. It's more about how you feel, right? It's the pleasure part. It's not about like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And that's the problem with the narrative of sex. When young people see sex is in movies, it's a sex scene. Oh, I feel good. When we talk about it in music, it's I'm having sex to feel good. Nobody's talking about, no, we're having sex to build a family unit. How do we change that narrative? Because that's the real conversation. We know that that's the ideal realm. So if we talk about it, how do you get those outlets who has the influence to really promote it in that manner? Because when I watch movies, they not promoting sex to build a family. It's all about the good feeling.
Yep. And I think too, it start again, I just have to say it starts with the parents, really. I know we can't do much with media unless we could. I mean, no, going to, and making real like family unit type movies. And that's what's missing in our communities, is that type of thing. Back in the good old days when we had, you know what I'm saying, real like a whole family, that's missing. Yes. But how do we do it? Maybe having our youth maybe build something like that, maybe having someone coming and doing a play on it or something, introducing that to schools. Like, well, this is Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? We should be talking about family units and whatnot. Yeah, relationships. How does that look like? What does that look like? And it's true. I mean, we can't really do much with what we got, but it does start with the parents. I really feel it starts with the parents, and then too maybe creating something that on campus or whatnot, and somebody coming in and really teaching that. And what does that mean? Like, if you really want to have a successful marriage, because people are divorcing nowadays, and for just all kinds of just dumb reasons. I'm not even gonna say, but yeah, that's a hard thing to change. But at the end of the day, I mean, if we want to protect our children, you know what I'm saying? It's all about really just making sure
Jocelyn, we have to be careful about saying the good old days while we have our youth on here, okay? Because the good old days wasn't so great. The young people are looking at some of the elders in the community. They said, what's so good about the good old days? Because they made a lot of mistakes. So we can't just say back in our time it was so great. We learned from a lot. And I think we polished ourselves over the years from going through the experiences that make us say the good old days because we got this. But for our young people, they're talking about today. There haven't been a lot of good days for our young people. We have to make it right. So let's make the good days today with our young people, and they're going to take the torch and lead that pathway of good times moving forward.
It's funny when you said that. I was like, the good old days. But I agree with you though. I think it should start like as your kid is born, to be honest. And I think it's like just starts with. I think it should be a more informative conversation versus preventative or reactive. I think it should just be like an ongoing informative conversation, and the conversation should be based on like the age of what your child is, like from 0 to 4. They should know that they have a penis and a vagina, and not like a wah and wee wee or whatever you want to call it. Like it starts there, and then it should keep going up. It should be more informative and more explanatory and like, I guess, detailed in a way so that they can understand like what sex really is and what it's meant for and how it can impact and all of that.
So Devin, my question back to you, because I think that's important that you brought that up. what age do we start having this conversation? Because I know around 4 or 5 years old, we're teaching the young people about their body parts and for them to speak up if somebody is touching them. Is that the time we start having this conversation? This
As
is
soon
what I'm
as they
trying
can
to get.
talk.
When do we have this conversation?
As soon as they can talk. That's when you have it. As soon as they can understand words, that's when you need to start having this conversation.
Definitely. That's why when I do have kids, I'm not really gonna let, people who I don't know on a personal level watch them, because they're not gonna be able to come back to me and tell me if something were to happen. So definitely maybe the age is when they could talk. But I think the age is when it feels right for you as a parent. I wouldn't know, but you might be able to know that.
Well, I can say I was being chased in 4th grade, and I think that you have a good understanding and you could comprehend the words that your parents are trying to tell you, or your grandparents. So I think once you are responsible enough to understand the conversation, that's when it should start.
Yeah, we was being chased in the 4th grade too. It slap ass Friday.
Yeah,
I've never heard that, Nia. Slap ass Friday. Oh my God, these kids is coming up with some crazy stuff. Slap ass Friday. But I mean, it did. I guess one of the things too, when we're talking about the messaging and how our school plays. I vaguely remember when I was like in 1st and 2nd grade, when it was Valentine's Day. Our teachers always, we made Valentine things to give the people in our class that we liked. And I thought that was like the start of it, because I remember being in 2nd grade, like, yeah, you give your Valentine card to somebody that you like. So I think that's what I'm saying. I want to know what age, because our young people are bringing Valentine Day cards in 1st grade, 2nd grade, kindergarten. Like, we educate them on these holidays that we believe. And I think this is the start of the conversation, because I think once a kid feel like they like somebody of the opposite sex, or they like somebody, is that when we have the conversation? Because I hear little kids all say this. I hear little kids. I've been at parties. That's my girlfriend. That's my boyfriend. I'm like, you little kids. So when do we have that conversation?
I wanted to jump in on that question because there's actually a story I wanted to tell, because of how Nia had asked about the cell phones and how social media presence is making a big impact on children. There is a 5-year-old who I know who got exposed to, TikTok, where a girl was shaking her butt and he was just staring at it. And his mom had caught on, and she immediately took the phone from him. And that's where he learned about, girls having butts. And also where he wasn't able to express when, someone may or may not have been able to touch him. So it was really complicated for him to, express about that. So unfortunately, his grandmother had expressed, that talk. I know you don't want me to say the word, the bees and that talk, but I believe how Devin has said, as soon as they're able to talk, that's when I believe that conversation should be able to happen, because he was exposed at 5 years old at what this was, which is not good to me.
Wow, it's very important. I mean, I think that's why, I'm saying, like, we got to really be mindful, and to the elders of the community, when we talk about being exposed to sex too early, and just sexualization, when we have women who are twerking with our young ladies and teaching them to do all this twerking and all this stuff, I think this plays a part of it too. And this is why I'm saying, how do we as community leaders, parents, how do we be mindful? Because our young people are watching, and if they see the adults doing this, and you're the parent, you're the influencer of them, they think that this is okay. So when do we take accountability? How do we monitor and manage the access to information and what we're doing as far as our behaviors to expose our young people?
So I was gonna say, what Jocelyn said, like when she was saying, like, you should talk about families and stuff, because that's what it really is about. That's what it's supposed to be about. I feel like it's about families and stuff. Yeah, you should teach them when they're very younger, because if you don't just teach about families, all they're gonna think about, oh, like, I'm just trying to hit. Like, let's be real, that's what they mainly gonna think about. Like, oh, I'm just trying to hit. I'm just trying to do. They're not gonna be caring about families, kids. That's not gonna be on their mind. The first thing they're gonna be thinking is, oh, I'm just trying to hit. Like, if we being real, then yeah. They're not gonna be thinking about, like, oh, I'm trying to have like a family. I'm trying to get my life together, life started. Like, they're not gonna think about none of that. That's why we need to talk. That's why it's like better off to start talking to them when they're. I would say about like at least 8, 7.
I think that I like the point that Devin had made about like progressively kind of talking to your child about a different topic at like each age or each school year, because honestly things change with each grade. So like when it's like 4 or 5, you're talking about like, okay, somebody might touch you here, this is what this is called, like this is how you should act as a little girl, you cover yourself up, like stuff like that. Then as like each grade it progresses, now we're in 6th grade, now we're having to talk about actual sex, and now we're talking about emotions, because like from my experience, like I have a little cousin who I'm really close with, and I feel like she started, and of course she wasn't gonna go to her parents, but she come to me as like the cool big cousin. But I feel like she started talking to me about stuff like boys and sex, stuff like that, like 10, like 5th grade, 4th grade. So I feel like honestly at that point, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, somewhere around there, also knowing your child, knowing like what type of stuff they're into, like, that also helps. But like that should be the age where like you laying everything on the table. But the years before that, it's like baby steps. It's like the parts, the touching, the conduct yourself, what boys are like. And then it's like, I feel like at least by 6th grade, they should know pretty much everything. So anything that's thrown at them, kind of, I forgot who said it, but somebody said like they're already coming into that conversation knowing something. They're knowing how to respond. They're not like, oh my God, what's that? Like that's why my parents, they never really shielded me from stuff, even sex, drugs, all type of stuff. They was like, this is what this is, this is what this does. Somebody offer it to you, somebody talk about it. You're not like so naive about it. I feel like that's also, parents kind of think they're doing good by sheltering their kids, but it actually doesn't, because now they get to formulate their own opinions and choose what they want to do at 13. So yeah.
There you have it, community parents. You heard from the young people. Don't be trying to be overly strict, and don't be trying not giving your kids the real conversation, because if not, they're gonna be curious. And I think it's real in our elders that have young people in your house. How do you protect your space? All right, because I remember some young men coming up to me. They was at an event, and these kids was performing acts on each other. And I asked the young brother, who taught you this? Oh, I was with my mama room, and I see my mom and my dad. Right. So how do we, as elders, protect our spaces? Okay, make sure your doors is locked before things of that nature, because these young people are watching. And this kid was telling me, man, I was standing there for an hour watching my parents all night. I said, come on, parents, we got to do better, okay? But again, the amount of exposure to our young people is very prevalent. We have to be real with these conversations, but we also have to hear from our young people and understand. And I hope our community families out there are really hearing this, because again, we have to stop sheltering our kids. You've heard the young people say it a number of times. Don't try to shelter your kids, because if you shelter them, it's just going to make them even more curious. And I don't know what it is about young people. The more you tell them no, the more they want to figure it out. Okay. The more you tell them don't do this, the more they want to try. Right. Even when we talk about substance abuse, I got a lot of kids. Oh, my mom told me don't do it, but I see them smoking. So again, when you say no to them and then you do it, or they're around it, it's just this excitement to try, right? Well, I want to know why they say don't do it, right? So I think when we have those conversations, just to be intentional about the conversation is just very, very important. But Devin, move us along. I know you got some more questions to ask, so we can get through this. We are at the halfway mark. We're getting close. Let's get these last questions out.
I wanted to make a note or bring this up about how we dress our kids, and I think that we should stick, because right now I feel like our society, we kind of are moving towards dressing them as older than what they look, and I think that could also play a role into how they perceive themselves, how they are perceived. So I think like it's just important to keep kids looking like kids as long as you can, because that might help limit the early sex things that come along with that. But to move, oh, you have something to say, Lay?
Yeah, I was gonna say I see a lot of TikTok debates about this. Because the kids, they be like mommy and me dressing up in like the crop top and the leggings, and I feel like the other side of that I see a lot, like they'll be like, but the little girl is comfortable, or she's looking in her mirror and she thinks she's cute. So like, why are we? They try to say like we're as adults sexualizing the little girl, because like as she just has on a crop top or she has like a jumpsuit or something like that, it's like she has a little girl body. Like, why are we looking at that? So like, I never really chose a specific side, but I was like, does anybody like feel like maybe like, okay, well, if the child is happy, they're comfortable, stuff like that, like, does it matter? Or if there's so little, like, why is somebody else looking at them in that way? Even though I know like it's perverse, it's a whole bunch of stuff out here in the world, but like that's what I hear on the other side.
I definitely have thought that. Like you said, I never really chose a side because at the same time, like I was wearing, Children's Place and Justice and things like that. But I do be seeing kids like bust down in Burberry, and I just be like, me personally, I'm gonna dress my kid like a kid. But I do see kids out here like with colored hair. They got the hair dyed now and stuff. Like I was never able to do that, but they're happy with it though. They think it's innocent, and it is for the most part. But the things that the older world does not consider innocent, I guess that plays a part. So I'm not sure. I didn't choose a side either, and I don't know. I guess it's just how you perceive children.
Well, I'm gonna jump on both sides of it. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's tragic. I see young ladies on there, fifth grade with long fingernails, longer than their parents, eyelashes 12 inches sticking out. I think that is all a part of it. When we over sexualize young women, young girls at 8, 10, 11, 12 years old on social media with makeup and stuff on. Like, I mean, this is it's getting too far. And I mean, when do we cross the line and say enough's enough? I mean, these parents out here, they think it's cute. And I think a lot of the problem is, some of these parents want to be friends with their kids, and it's not cool. And we're putting young girls in those positions early when we do these type of things with eyelashes and makeup and nails and all of this stuff. And you look at these TikToks with these kids on here, and I have to admit, even my granddaughter, I had to tell my daughter about some of these TikToks with the type of music in the background with a kid on there. And I think the young people don't get it. And I think some of the elders, we don't have enough conversations about that because it does mess with the trajectory of the young people on how they perceive themselves and how they move in the community. So I think that's something that we definitely have to continue to highlight and make sure that we're being responsible, that we're not exposing them to this, because sometimes it is our very own doing that exposes our kids too much in that sexual realm.
Yeah, I agreed. I wanted to ask. I know we talked about it a little bit, but how much really did our peers, or for you guys, your peers, really affect how you viewed sex and what you think about it and what you learned? Like, how much did I really impact you growing up?
I had a friend, like a really close friend. She was like 2 grades older than me, and she was like who I used to ask like all of my questions to, like almost anything. Like sometimes stuff about like even having a period, or like shaving, like little stuff like that. Like, I just felt like it was really awkward to ask my mom. Like I would literally ask her, and she would tell me. And she had like lost her virginity probably like ninth grade, but she was in like a year-long relationship with this boy, and they was like just goals in my eyes at that age. So I don't know. She just used to she used to tell me every detail about like how it happened or what happened, or like how did it feel, like different stuff like that. So I just always imagined, I always kind of like looked up to her, and like she was like super cute to me. Like I don't know. She just, when you have like an older person that's like real close in age, I feel like they will have a bigger effect on the kids. Like, so like watching like who they hang out with, like are they older, like big cousins, big sisters. Not saying they're going to do anything wrong on purpose, but like those are the people that I feel like you could kind of go through, because they're going to look up to them and they're going to want to talk to them or listen to them.
So I guess in Devin's question, I'm gonna have to ask my youth panel, Brandy, Nia, all of you all, Devin. When we talk about sex and exposure to the sex, the peer pressure, is it real? Because we hear about peer pressure in y'all day-to-day lives. Do you feel the peer pressure of social media, people you around, when we talk about sex and being involved sexually? Is there a real peer pressure or is it not?
There's peer pressure in everything, whether it be sex, drugs, alcohol. It's peer pressure all the time, especially if you surround yourself with people who, how do I explain it? Who just don't care about those things. I guess don't care about what it does to your body, or I don't know. It all just depends on who you surround yourself around. Like for me, I don't take peer pressure from nobody. Um, I would tell you no a million times before I say yes. So I guess it's about you and who you put yourself around.
Yeah, growing up, it was definitely a lot of peer pressure, especially being a male. They like, 8th grade, you ain't had sex yet, you ain't knocked nothing down yet, like, so it's like, yeah, there's definitely peer pressure. Like, dang, I'm still a virgin and I'm a senior in high school. Like, oh, I need to find somebody to have sex with. So you definitely do have those peer pressures, but yeah, I agree with what Nia said. It's just knowing when stuff is ready right for you and standing on things that you believe in, because that's what you got to do, really. Because if you don't, you'll do anything. So
Man, Devin, y'all eighth
I'm gonna
grade,
keep it.
y'all better than what we was. 8th grade, shoot, we was in 5th grade. Talk about man. we was bad. See, y'all got to get. We was bad at 5th grade. We was already talking about
I
it.
know a few
Go
too.
ahead,
I
Prince.
know a few. It's still like that a little bit, but yeah.
I
Go
feel
ahead, Prince. You on mute, Brandy.
Go ahead, Prince.
Oh, I was gonna say, so like I ain't gonna lie, I kind of okay. So yeah, like starting off early, yeah, I did. So like, but now it's not peer pressure at all, because I feel like it's not. It don't come in mind. Honestly, when you have like positive thinking and stuff, and like when you actually want to go for it in life, like you don't care about things like that. Like you don't. That never comes through. But yeah, it is a peer pressure when you're younger and stuff. You don't really know much about it. Like you want to get more into it and all that. So yeah, I guess yeah, it is peer pressure.
I think also, I don't know if this, I guess it would be peer pressure, but like on social media, it's so vulgar now. Like kids will see stuff and then be curious. Like they'll be like, oh, like the D's so good, like got me wanting to like run back, like anything crazy about like sex. And they'll make it seem like it's so much fun, or like on Twitter, like, well, I don't know, look, kids have Twitter, but Instagram too, like Justin LeBoy, like popular posts, and they'll like make sex like it's so much fun and it's so good and it feels so good and this got me wanting to do this, like all these type of memes and stuff like that. So it's like kids, I feel like they also look at it like, oh my god, like they're experiencing that, like I want to experience that, like I want to know what that feels like, I don't know what they mean, like I want to know, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, I don't know, like social media pressure, I feel like that's also like a whole nother realm too.
I have a question. So you're talking about this pressure now. I know some of these girls pressure guys and guys pressure girls, but do these girls pressure you young fellas on the panel?
Prince, Devin.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Yes, honestly, yeah, like especially like when you go to work and stuff, like it be like that. But sometimes, like even when you try to stay away, it's just hard to fight it. I'm not gonna lie, like it is.
Yeah, I would agree too. I think it probably gets progressively more pressure from women as you get older. But yeah, girls pressure. Yes. To answer the question, yeah.
I want to know about this pressure, Prince. What they be telling you, Prince? What them girls be telling you?
I don't want to say too much, but I'm gonna just say this: like they'll do it to a point where if you don't want to do nothing back, it's like you the scary one. Like you're scared. That's peer pressure right there. And I try to stay honestly. Like I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I try to stay away from it because like I don't want to even be around all that. Like honestly, but it's pressure. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like it definitely, like Devin said, I feel like it's definitely more pressure from girls as they get older. I don't know. That's like a question. Like, was it like when I was younger? Because I really doubt it. I really doubt girls was pressing when they was younger. But I know, like, even I have heard people, like girls my age, like when a dude didn't want to have sex, oh, he must be gay. Like, what's wrong with him? Like, it's literally like, what's wrong? I'd be like, relax. Like, he could say no too. Like, he's not, dudes. I think people, because some dudes are like it, like they'll jump at any chance at sex. So when a dude actually maybe have some morals and respect and they don't, it's like, what? Like, what's wrong with him? So yeah, I've seen that.
I think that's a great conversation starter when we talk about young girls and young men, because I know in high school, the girls that was high school with us, they didn't talk to us. They talked to all the older guys. So Devin, was you getting the same plug from the older women? I mean, you see all the stories with the older teachers messing with the young brothers. Like,
Yeah,
is this really y'all world or what? Do
yeah,
y'all
that's
see it too?
true.
Because I remember that.
Even at my high school, there was it's before I got there, but there was a teacher who was messing with a woman teacher. She was messing with this high school student. So Yeah, like it's definitely true, and I feel like you said, in high school, or like I guess when girls are younger, they tend to want to mess with older dudes, and you see that with our college, you see it in high school. Yeah, that's just very true. So that I don't know how we can kind of shift that narrative to change it to where you should, like, mess with somebody in your own age group, but that's real. That's true. And I think also that, like, when dudes be flashing money and stuff and girls be like, and they see it on Instagram and stuff, like getting flown out and all this other things like that, I think that kind of puts, well, I need to find me somebody with money. And obviously an 18-year-old in high school don't got a bag how a 24-year-old who got a job and stuff would. So I think it's kind of like incentives to bring on the pressure.
Transactional, very transactional. Go ahead, Liz.
I feel like also one of the things that I've heard, I've even said it, I'm not gonna lie, but it'd be like, because girls, everybody says that girls mature faster. So girls be like, if I mess with a dude my age, we're not at the same maturity level because I'm on a higher maturity level than dudes my age. So I feel like that'd be the excuse. They think that they're finding like a man that's older, they're a little more mature, maybe they can handle their emotions better, maybe they can, like, especially like once they get to high school, or like especially like college, like people don't want to mess with people in their classification. They want to mess with dudes that are older, hoping that they'll be a little more mature or they'll take them a little more serious. But honestly, maturity takes so long. Like, maturity there's no age limit on it. So I feel like that whole excuse for girls messing with dudes that's older, like, that's kind of old too. Like, maturity, it's not gonna work.
Brandy, what about you?
I don't really have much to say on that topic. I believe that girls do really have this mindset, whereas we mature faster than them, whereas boys are a little bit more slower in their words. They believe that they wouldn't be able to handle the body. But I believe that, like Leia said, that's a false reality. That topic's really confusing for me. That's what I was trying to sit here and think about. But yeah, I can't really touch much on that topic.
To flip it, also, I remember growing up and hearing, like, your first time, get you a freak, because she'll teach you everything that you need to learn. So it's kind of like just the flip side of what Lay said, like, find somebody who already know what they're doing so that you can learn. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that point to the table.
Well, I mean, what is there to learn? Everything is in the music, right? I mean, I done heard some of these songs. They give you step by step details. I mean, what is there to learn, really? I mean, back in my day, Slick Rick, Teenage Love. So, I mean, man, but now, I mean, they throwing it out there, everything, every detail you can imagine. Just listen.
I think, to bring that up, I think that, like, the music before our generation, it was kind of just the same thing. Y'all was just kind of like a little sugarcoat, like, and it was more romantic, I guess, to say. Cause ours. We don't really have romanticism as much as like our songs now talk about making love and bringing a woman flowers and singing outside her window. Like, we're not doing none of that. It's kind of getting straight to the point. So that might be a different perspective, but I think that we was talking about the same thing. Y'all just was beating around the bush.
I agree with that.
Not only that, but y'all think that it's just our generation's music. Let's talk about Trina. Let's talk about all the people that y'all was listening to.
Right.
I don't know. I was listening to the Young People Yanking song, and I said, "What is going on?"
Yeah, that's true too, because we did grow up doing that. But I want to say, like, in Bay Area culture, it was more of like Yiking was just a dance. It wasn't like necessarily like, this is my partner, we're dancing because we like each other, and it's all that. It was like it's just a dance, and we're on to the next person, really. And that kind of aids into like our negative perspectives around sex. But I had something else to say, but I lost my thought.
Just like how they was bumping grinding at the parties.
And
yeah, Freaknik. That's what I was trying to say. Y'all had Freaknik. So, like, was it really much of a difference?
Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, they stuck now.
I think the ages changed. Okay, I think the music is the same. I think the young people have innovated some of the music. It's a little bit more direct, a little bit more to the point. I think that back in the days it was a little bit smoother. But again, at the end of the day, you're right. It's music that's influencing our emotional response to the opposite sex, and how do we continue to be intentional to make sure that the exposure and the access to this to our young people are held back as much as possible. I mean, like you said, with the tablets, with the social media, it's very hard to secure that. So I think today's conversation, more than anything, is community, parents, fathers, grandparents. How do we get to that conversation in the kitchen? Maybe this is not a dinner starting conversation. Maybe it's not an awkward conversation. As Devin said earlier, we have to sometimes play into it, makes it fun, and have that conversation and get real. But the conversation is needed. I heard from the other youth, we need to have this conversation once a year as people develop and change, things happen, experiences changes. We got to have the conversation. We're going to continue to do our part to have the conversation here, because I think it all starts here. If we want to heal and change the narrative, it's going to take a conversation. So we're going to do our part to continue to make sure that we uplift and highlight these conversations so that our community gets an opportunity to hear from our young people. We're going to do our part. We'll talk to our young people and see if we can put together a crash course, our course, to talk about it, because we do have elementary, middle school, and high school kids who need to have this conversation. And we know some of our parents aren't equipped to handle that conversation. But again, when we talk about the village, when we talk about the community, it's all of our responsibility to make sure that the tools in the tool bag of our young people are there and they know how to use them to be successful and to grow as individuals. So we're going to do our part. We'll figure it out collectively as a team, and we'll work with any other organizations that want to put this together. I'm going to talk to the people, because I think even with the peace parks that's going on every Friday night, how do we incorporate the conversation of sex and intimacy into some of the programming that we have for youth? We have to have the conversations. Parents, we cannot be uncomfortable. We can't have the negative thought of, oh my God, my kid was having a conversation with me about this. What's going on? I think that's really what we need to do and where we need to go. If we really want to uplift our youth, if we want to stop the teen pregnancy, if we want to stop the broken homes that Jocelyn talked about earlier, how do we have real conversations about the purpose of sex, the unity of sex, the family, the bonding, the building of our community? When we talk about intimacy and sex, more conversations to come. And we're going to continue to work with our youth team, because I think this is something powerful. I want to get more of this programming for our youth, make sure it's youth-led, so that they can have the conversation with each other. I think that peer-to-peer counseling is what's needed. Also, we need the right equipped adults to be a part of the conversation with no judgment, no misunderstanding, but just being open to what the young people are saying to uplift them and move them forward. So with that being said, we are out of time. This has been a great conversation. We're getting close to the end of this thing. And y'all know every show that we have, we always leave with parting words. It's something that our people could give back to the community as lifted. Some people might be tuning in late. If you missed most of the conversation, go back and check it out on our YouTube. Go on our Facebook. Check out what our young people was talking about as we continue to have the conversation today about our youth exposed to sex too soon. I think it's been a great conversation. I think we got a lot of tools to come out of there. I think it's some homework for the community adults to do. First off, have the conversation. Make it open. Make it fun. And I think that's the first part tonight. You that are watching out there, have that conversation with your young people. Turn off the PlayStation. Turn off the TV. Turn off the Netflix. Sit down with your young people and have a real conversation about sex. This is how action and mobilization happens in our community. It starts with all of you. So with that being said, I'm going to move around the screen and give everybody an opportunity to give away any shout outs, and then some parting words to our community, what you took away from today's conversation, or whatever you want to give to the community to think about. So we'll start with Prince, Jocelyn, Brandy. We'll work our way around. Prince, give some words to the young brothers out there who's watching tonight, and to the parents. Give them some feedback before we leave today, King. Prince been having connection problems all day. We'll try to get him back. We'll move over to Jocelyn.
Yeah, I just want to say that it is necessary to have these conversations. But one thing I want to also, what you said is that some of the parents aren't equipped. So and what are some fun ways? Well, I was just thinking that even if you did like a skit, even if organizations like you guys youth did a skit, like how to combat, what are some comebacks when you are pressured, to actually for the youth to see what that looks like, you know what I'm saying, and come up with some good, comebacks when they're are in it, where it doesn't make you look weak, but it makes you look, okay, look, no, I know what I'm doing. I am who I am. I'm protecting my values. So like even come up with skits going into the schools, doing those skits during, assembly time or whatever, or even forming a club or just organizations going there and doing it and having the youth do that. Let it so people will know what that looks like. I think a lot of youth don't know how to come back and really stand for what and protect their innocence, you know what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, I think that's something helpful. But yeah, we do need to have a conversation, and parents that know and can have the conversation have as soon as possible. This is 2023. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and yeah, we're having conversations. So at the end of the day, if those aren't equipped, then let's get our youth involved, and hey, do some skits, do some real life stuff, use your lingo, use everything that you do to influence other youth that look, hey, it's okay to say what you have. So
Man, thank you, Jocelyn, for that very deep stuff. And I'm just glad that you are leading the way when we talk about leadership, demonstrating what's possible, taking that lead, starting with your young child, and then moving it to the community is all about. Prince, we'll try to see if we can get you back now. We know we lost you. You got some service now?
Yeah, my phone keep lagging.
Go ahead. Say some parting words to the community today, brother.
I just want to say, yeah, it was good learning all that. I mean, not learning because we already pretty much know about everything. I just want to say that I lost everything what I was gonna say, honestly. But hey, I'm actually happy to be a part of the community. I'm gonna say that first of all. That's one thing, and I want to be more a part of it. I'm gonna try to join more and see what. Yeah.
Don't worry, we're gonna reach out to you, brother. Our team gonna hook you up, and we're trying to build up our youth team. We want you to be a part of it because you all are the voices of the youth. You are the future of our community. If you are not uplifted and heard, we can't move forward. So again, we're gonna be looking forward to connecting with you and seeing you back soon. And just thank you for being here, giving up your perspective, because again, you guys are the ones who hold how we move as a community forward. So thank you for being a part of today's conversation, and we'll connect with you and see if we can continue to involve you with the youth and what's going on for our youth in community. With that being said, Brandy, the most thoughtful young lady on the youth team. She has a lot of thought. Young lady, talk to the people today.
Well, I wanted to shout out my psychology teacher, Mr. Torrente, because he does touch a lot of us and whatever questions we have about, sex or anything that we have. So I want to shout him out. And I want to tell the community, if you ever feel like you have to reach out to someone about any questions you have, please don't hold back. You have the power to use your voice. Please don't. Please understand that you are heard, and please understand that you have a million people who are probably behind you. And, even me, if you have someone to talk to and have questions about anything, feel free to reach out. But that's all I want to say.
I do want to say one more thing. That's a good, honestly, yeah, you shouldn't hold back. I'm gonna say this. Most of my whole life, like, I've been always going up to my parents. I never had, I always went up to them. That was my only people I had. So, like, I didn't grow up with the older cousins and all that. Like, I feel like I was the oldest, like, because I had a bigger mindset than most of my family. Like, most of my cousins and stuff was childish. I was already thinking about money, all that. Like, so me, I was always going to my mom and parents. I didn't care what they said, how they made me feel. I want to know for my own education. So.
Very powerful. Community parents, be open, talk with your young people. Don't just assume they have it. Have the real conversations. You've heard Prince. You've heard some of the young folks on here. Be open. Listen. Be patient. Don't just criticize. The only way we can make change is you have to connect with the young people before you correct the young people. All right. Ms. Ladd, you want to go ahead and give some parting words to the community today?
Yes. So I'm gonna just say, to the parents, have that conversation. Too young is not a thing no more, unfortunately. Have it every year. And be relatable. Put yourself in their shoes. Don't come as the 40-year-old or the 30-year-old that you are now. Come as the 10-year-old, the 11-year-old, the 16-year-old. Come as that person when you jump into the conversation. That's going to make them feel more comfortable. and know that like they're still your baby, they're still your little angel, but the world is not, unfortunately. So you need to get to them before the world gets to them. As much as you want them to be better than you and make better choices, they're going to make their own mistakes. Maybe not the same. Hopefully they're less damaging or whatever, but they're going to make the mistakes. But you got to be open so that way they can lean on you and they can feel like they have somebody to get them out of whatever they end up getting into, or they have the knowledge going into things better. So I would just say have that conversation, be open like we're all saying, and just thank y'all for having me.
Man, thank you for being here today. Very well spoken, young lady. And we appreciate your perspective. And again, that's great information to the community that's watching. Parents, we keep saying it. Stay patient. Be open. Make sure you are the support system for your young people. We want them to come to you, not run from you. All right. Nia, go ahead, Nia.
Like always, I want to thank our guests. You guys gave a lot of good insight today. I loved listening to you. And as for parents, like Lay said, it's not an age limit on when the right age is now. Have that talk when you feel like they're ready, and especially when you're ready to. And that's all I have to say. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you, Nia. And Nia, you know, you just growing, doing your thing, Nia. We appreciate you. And you always bring a great, settled perspective. So thank you, young lady. Continue to lead and do the things that you're doing. The young folks are watching you. All right. Brother Devin, go ahead, King.
What's going on, y'all? Thank you for our guests for tuning in on the show. We really appreciate you. Thank you for the community for watching and being a part of this as well. My parting words would just be, but really, you guys already kind of spoken everything I want to touch on, except that book. Get that book, and because if you don't know, you can learn it. That way, you can teach it. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Devin. And Devin, you're a great leader, young brother. Continue to do what you're doing to impact the young man that you come in contact with. You have a great perspective, great knowledge, and we need to continue to empower our young brothers in the community. And we thank you for your service to making sure our young people in the community get the voices and the information from you all and your perspective. And you always bring a great one. So thank you for your leadership as well. Sister Carlise, give some parting words to the community tonight.
Right on, right on. Well, community, this was a very important conversation. And I say that because it's not a one-way street. There's both sides of the conversation that have to take place. If you need some support and you can't stand on your own and allow both sides of the conversation to take place, have a game night, invite some parents and kids over and get the support that you need to have that conversation.
Thank you very much. Very well spoken and said. So with that being said, community, thank you all for tuning in today. Before we go, y'all know the bishop. I got to give a benediction because every time we end the show, I need the community to know what's going on. You might have just tuned in. You missed some great conversations. So with that being said, I'm going to give the benediction so we can get out of here because this has been powerful. Young people, very powerful. So with that being said, community, if you missed today's conversation, you have to go back. You got to listen to the young people. When we talk about moving our culture forward, moving our community forward, it only starts with the young people. The elders have the wisdom. The young people have the energy, the power to keep pushing. Together, we can change our community. There's a dynamic out there that's sitting fitful for all of us, and it starts with communication. You heard Kali say it takes both sides. Parents, you have your perspective. You have your understanding of what it takes to have the conversation. The youth, the teens, you hear them. They have a perspective. Their side of the conversation is real, and it needs to be heard. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be loved. It needs to be respected. I hear the elders all the time talking about John. The young people have to respect the elders, but elders, how do we respect the young people? See, in communication, there's a two-way street. We have to have it both ways. You want respect, but you also have to give it. Today is a very important conversation as times are changing in this country. The access to information is happening faster and faster and faster. And our young people are getting access to that information. When we talk about pornography, when we talk about sexual acts, the information is flowing through the very devices that our young people hold. So we have to be responsible. We have to be understanding that sometimes when the kids click on the button, something might pop up that we don't want them to see. We need to be able to have that conversation, that understanding, to educate our young people. When these things happen, what is this? How do we explain it? Today, we've been talking about how do we approach the conversation and name what we need to talk about. I know everybody that's in the community like to talk about the birds and the bees, but we need to have the real conversation. When we talk about sexual contact, intercourse, we talk about relationships, we have to have the real conversation. We can't paint a picture of birds and bees. We have to paint a real community reality. What's that look like? When we talk about emotions and how emotions is connected and tied to sexual activity, that's a conversation that needs to happen. There's a lot of things to learn. If you heard nothing else from the youth today, I heard one thing: consistency. Parents, be patient, be open. Don't be judgmental. Be open to have the conversation. Don't wait too long. If you see things happening, if you hear conversations, stay open and pay attention so you can hear the conversation on that tablet. You can hear the conversation on their cell phone. Sometimes, parents, we have to be the investigators of our family. Once you know that the young people around you are having a conversation, if their mind is curious, if the music is pointing them in a way that there's a lot of sexual activity, we need to intervene. Not intervene to be mean and to snatch their phones and put them on punishment, but intervene and have a preventative conversation about sex, the reality of what it is, the outcomes of what it is, and how do we have that conversation? How do we protect our young people, the most vulnerable people of our community, the young people? That conversation has to happen. We're going to continue to do our part. You heard from the young people. We need more. We need more education. Educators, you're responsible. What part do you play in this? Principals of schools, superintendents, how do you incorporate this very conversation of sexual intercourse in our school? How do we keep it consistent so that all of our young people get an opportunity when they get curious and when they're having thoughts, that we have the proper curriculum to help them through this process? Community, families, how do we create a space where we can have this conversation with our young people? Community organizations, how do we work together to put the programming in there to make sure intentionally our young people get this information? It's too many broken families, too many single homes. We have to fix this. We have to teach our young kids the value of sex, the understanding of what it was there for, so that they understand the bigger picture and not just the pleasure and the fun of having sex. This is a serious and very touching topic. And I know our community don't always want to have this conversation, but today our youth showed up to have this conversation. Community, I hope you were listening to the youth. Parents, people that are responsible for youth, make sure you approach them in a way that the conversation can be had. The only way to healing is through communication. Do your part. Tell your truth. I heard Devin say it multiple times today. Don't just talk about sex. Talk about your experience. Be transparent. Be vulnerable, parents. Don't just talk about what they shouldn't do. Talk about the things that they could do. Talk about the things you went through. Give them the full totality of the picture and the conversation behind sex. So, with that being said, that is the benediction. Thank you all for tuning in today. Our next live show is Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we'll be continuing to highlight our hidden gems of the community. We got some phenomenal hidden gems coming on, and we're looking forward to that conversation. And again, we're trying to book this Thursday. If that is you out there and you like, John, I've been waiting, or maybe you need to push your time up, reach out to us so we can get you on this Thursday to help educate and intentionally bring the awareness and information to our people. I know there's a lot of events going on this Black History Month community. Make sure you do your part to celebrate, uplift, and acknowledge the historic history of the people who very went through things to make sure we are able to vote, have access. Go celebrate your ancestors. And again, for everybody coming out to the bowling event, we are excited and we're looking forward to this event and can't wait to see all of the community folks out there. It's going to be a blast. Thank you all for tuning in. This is our youth. The youth team were here today. They showed up again. Go listen to this conversation and make sure you have that conversation with your youth very soon. Much needed in our community. Thank you all again for being here. Our youth team, phenomenal job. We got work to do. We're going to figure out how we can do our part to put some curriculum together and have some conversation with other youth in our community. Each one teach one. You can't lead the community if you don't feed the community. Y'all know my motto. We got to give them love, education, information, and resources. And most of all, you and me. Together, in solidarity, we can change the narrative. Let's continue to talk and watch the narrative shift. Thank you all for tuning in today. Have a blessed evening, and we'll see you in a community near you. Both sides of the conversation, y'all.